Welcome to Curtain Call, our podcast all about theater. From the page to the stage, from the players to the playhouses, we're the podcast that brings you the stories of the people who bring you the stories that you see on live on stage in our theaters all across the country, and especially here in Detroit. We want to enhance the culture. We want to uplift the performing arts.
Mm-hmm.
We want to bring you the stories of those people who bring you the theater. And we're so blessed today to have someone I
Mm-hmm.
worked in theater for a number of years. Uh, in doing theater and working on the stage and doing live performances, it is a major production. There are a lot of people required to make theater work, um, especially um, local theater. Well, from high school to community theater, to church theater, to professional productions. There's always a big staff to make things work. And I've been blessed over the years to work with some really dynamic people in all aspects of theater, not just on the stage, but behind the stage, off stage, behind the curtains, to make this whole thing work. You can make it work without good people. You can have good actors, you can have a good script, you can have a good director, but without the people behind the scenes, uh, the other directors, the writers, the stage managers, the music director, the technical director, the lighting person, the costume person, the makeup person, the crew. There's so many aspects of theater that are essential to make what happens when the curtain goes up until the curtain goes down and the audience has seen the story. Uh, that makes it happen. The audience sees the actors come out on stage, they hear the story, they get involved, they feel it, they enjoy it, they laugh, they cry, they think. And in the end, they get up and applaud and go home and talk about it if it's good. If not, they probably talk about it. But there's a whole slew of people that makes that work. Over this past week, I learned that someone I had worked with from the very beginning of my time here in Michigan doing theater, from the time I wrote my very first play, uh, had passed away. His name was Christopher E. Knight. And I want to take a little time to honor Chris and to talk about him and what he did to make me a success in theater. Um, I first encountered Chris when I moved here from Nashville, Tennessee, to work at Oakland University. He was a student there. And in my first year there, every February, uh, Oakland would have a Black History Month presentation, different activities throughout the month. They called it Black Awareness Month. And my first year here, because of my background, they asked me to run the talent show. And I did that. And Chris was a part of that. I met him and so many other talented people at that time. He was a piano player, keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
And I met them and we had a really good talent show. And the people loved it. But the people in some of the students and staff didn't want me to do the talent show the next year because I wouldn't let everybody be in it because everybody didn't have the talent to be in it. So they told me they'd rather I not do the talent show. Well, I'd already come up with these themes that I was going to implement and make a part of the month. So I took those themes and I wrote a play called This Generation. And I asked Chris to be my musical director to write me some music. He wrote a song. The first song he ever wrote for me was called Child's Play. I really wish I could play it for you now, but that would just be you sit here for 5, 6 minutes watching me groove into some beautiful music. So I'm not going to do that. But I want you to know that Child's Play, the first song he wrote for me. And let me just back up a minute. When working with those young people at Oakland University, there was so much talent there. Not just Chris Knight, who was a major talent as a keyboard player and a composer, but in that first show that we did, Just Generation, this is some of the talent that was in that show at Oakland University that year. Galen McKinney on
Mm.
drums, Regina Carter on
On
violin,
violin. Mm-hmm.
Byron, yeah, Regina Carter now is one of the world's most renowned violinists. She's had the opportunity to play the Stravinsky guitar,
Stradivarius.
violin, Stradivarius,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
only you had to have special permission to play. She is world
Mm-hmm.
renowned violinist. She was in this generation. Um, Byron Cage, the renowned gospel recording artist, hit maker, gospel recording artist now, and just so much talent. He wrote the song "Child's Play," and I'm standing backstage. There was musicians, band, dancers. It was a choreographed dance to depict children transitioning into adolescence, into being teenagers, and the struggle with wanting to do childish things and then being a teenager and doing grown up things. And the dance was going on, and there was a dance solo that was done to a violin solo that Regina Carter was playing. And it was at the moment, it was so special, so mesmerizing, so beautiful. I'm standing there in the wings and I'm watching this girl and Regina in perfect sync together. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is beautiful. We could do this. We could do this. We can do theater like this. And that was the first thing that we did together. My first play, and it was a big hit in Oakland. So I came back the next fall, and Chris came to me with a song he had written for his family who had supported him um, in school, cousins from cousins that had been supportive of him. And he wrote a song called Family Love. He said, I think this will make a good play. And so, okay. And so I took the song, listened to it, and said, oh, yeah, this would be a good theme to write about for Black History Month. So I wrote the play Family Love. And Family Love clicked. It hit and it took off. And we, did some other college campuses. And I ended up doing Family Love over and over again. And even though I was writing new plays every year um, for Black History Month. And so Family Love just kind of got me out there around the same time that Mike Matthews was getting Mama Donna out there. Um, but that's a whole different discussion. We won't talk about that today. Um, but Chris, from that point on, wrote all the music for all of my plays for the next 10 plays that I wrote. Chris Knight wrote the music for those plays and served as my musical director. You know, um, he recently passed, and so I just want to acknowledge him and the work that he did. I can honestly say that the music was an extension of the script. He wrote songs that extended the dialogue for wherever the songs were supposed to be. Uh, he captured the mood of the scenes with the music. The lyrics were just an extension of the dialogue. And they couldn't be that long. It couldn't be no more than 3.5 minutes at the most, 2.5 minutes, which was takes a special skill to be able to do that. And then not only was he writing the music, but he served as the musical director, which meant in casting, he was essential to have because I had to count not only their abilities to act, but their abilities to sing as well, which is critical especially for any audience. But how we like our music, and so we had to
Mm-hmm.
capture that. um, uh, in our casting. Uh, and we did a pretty good job because all of the shows did very well in terms of audiences loving the production of them. So I giving honor to Chris for the work that he did and honor his legacy for the music he wrote. He wrote Family Love. He wrote songs for Bringing the Word, Getting Up Out of Here, the 2 teenage plays I did. Um, 10 plays. He wrote, that's a good 40, 50 songs possibly over the years, maybe more. Um, so my point is, thank you, Chris. Rest in peace. Uh, but today's show is to help you understand that it's not just the writer and the director that makes it happen on the stage. And there's an important, especially when you're music, and so the musical director, is just as important as the artistic director. But on top of that, probably the most significant and important role of anybody in the production is the stage manager. I've had several stage managers, and my last one was my best one. And we're very fortunate to have her with us. Um, Everyone, say hello and welcome to the show to Curtain Call, Giselle Caver, our G. It's been my stage manager, and the stage manager does it all, um, from pre-production to helping cast, to taking notes, running rehearsals, doing schedules, um, uh, calling the actors and actresses, calling them out when necessary. Um, the stage manager runs the show, particularly my show. Once I finish with directing, once we get to the technical rehearsal, I turn the show over to the stage manager, and then she runs it. And so welcome, G, to Curtain Call.
Thank you, Robert.
So
I'm
nice
so honored to be here. Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you.
I am
Yes.
so honored to be
There might
here.
be a delay.
Mhm. Yeah, I see there's a delay. Yes. Being your stage manager in particular was such an honor because the plays that you presented had such a universal appeal. And what I learned from you is to be an extension of you, to learn how you thought, what your vision of the play was, and then to learn the personalities of the actors that you put in the parts. Because when you learn what it is, then you can draw them into the character and work with them and find out what the character meant to them. And it was such an honor to be there to make sure that they hit their marks on time, got on stage on time, that they understood what the character was about, and that they didn't go too far away from the script, from the dialogue, so that whoever they're in dialogue with will get the cue to go know what the next sentence is, what the next action is. And that's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun when you understand the creativity of the play. And it's just yeah, it's a lot of paying attention to the nuances, the small things. And you taught me a lot, and whatever I took in college was great, but to learn from you, to take it off the pages out of the college and see it on stage, it was just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely
Mm-hmm.
proud of
Yep.
the people that we've had in the plays that have gone on to do major things. Like Karen left here and now she's starring in one of Tyler Perry's plays, and George Middlebrook, who sometimes I had to hold his hand and take him through steps, and now he's on one of Tyler Perry's television shows. And I'm so proud of them. They're like having children. I'm really proud of them.
I am too. I'm not going to take credit for them, but it was a pleasure working with them and nurturing them and getting them experience
Mhm.
that they took and ran with. Um, it's interesting. I think I've talked about this before. Uh, from the play Family Love, Chris was the emphasis for it because the music came first. But from that play, there was a character named
Mhm.
Omar, and George Middlebrook played that
Mhm.
role uh, in one of the productions that we
Yes.
did at the, I want to say the Northwest Activity Center, yes, uh, Paul Robeson Theater.
The Paul Robeson
Right,
Theater.
yes. So George played
Mhm.
Omar, but also Hugh Donaghy, who's a major actor in the city, does a lot of Shakespeare and does a lot of theater and commercials in the city of Detroit, played Omar. Um, there was a young man named Rick Titsworthy who played the role of Omar. Um, and he went on from that role. And that was his first role. And he went on and took that role and went to Hollywood and became Rick Worthy and had his own TV show there for a while, his own
Mm.
drama series
Mm.
on TV. Um, and did a lot of work out there in Hollywood. Played Omar. Roosevelt Johnson, who we all know is doing a lot of movies now, has done a lot of theater, done a few of my plays as well. Played the role of Omar when we did Family Love at the music hall, and
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
just let it doing it. So that role has led the people in it to be able to go on and do not a big
Not a big
role.
role.
Yeah, but it's an impactful
Yes,
role.
yes, yes, yes.
Omar had
Omar
some
had some
high, high
Mhm.
and it took some
Some serious
acting to be able to
pull
pull
the
features
features
out
out
of
of
for that
for
character.
that character.
And like you said,
Like he
they walk with him, talk with
with
him,
him, talk with him,
work with him,
work with him,
which you did a great
which
job of
great
walking
job
it
of
and
walking it and working with
all the cast members.
all the cast
I don't
members.
think people
I
realize
don't think people realize
that it's not just
it is not just
the
the
director that's
director
making this
that's
thing
making
happen.
this thing happen.
Uh, uh,
Uh,
Mostly
Mostly
working on my own
working on my own stuff,
understanding of what I
understanding
want for
of what I want for
the stage,
the stage
management
managers who can
uh,
uh,
get in
get in
sync
sync
with
with
what
what
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to
deliver.
deliver.
It's
It's
not
not
anything to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, I'm getting a really,
I'm
really
getting a
bad
really,
echo.
really bad echo. Yeah, the echo is
Yeah,
there.
the echo
We
is
just had
there.
to
We just had to
work through it.
work through it.
Uh,
Um, uh,
that you did, which
that you
one
did, which one
was your
was
favorite?
your favorite?
Wait, before you answer that, let
Wait,
me
before
just
you
say
answer that, let me
you
just
watched
say
the
you watched the
curtain
curtain
call.
call.
And it's
Mhm.
live. Live on
I'm gonna do you
YouTube.
live on
Send me
YouTube.
the
Send me the
give us
give us a
thumbs up,
thumbs up,
comments. Let us know
some
what you think.
comments. Let us know what you think.
Because we're out here
Because we're out here
here and,
here
and,
and
community
community
knowledge
knowledge
of what they can go
of
out
what
and
they can
see
go out and see
on the stage,
on the
out the city of
stage
Detroit.
out the
You
city of
do it.
Detroit. You do it
Your opinion,
your
encouragement
opinion, encouragement
on
on
WJZZ
WJZZ
Cool
TV.
TV.
I'm doing live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
my question was of the show that you worked on, and we did some different things. What was your favorite?
Which was my
Which was my
favorite?
favorite?
There would be
a cross between
what was it?
what was
The
it?
neighborhood
The
mother,
neighborhood
Ma
Rogers neighborhood.
Grandma Rogers' neighborhood.
Yes,
Yes,
thought
I
that
thought that
was
was
excellent.
excellent.
It would be a cross
It would be
between
a cross between that in the Sam Cooke story.
The Sam Cooke story.
Because there was so much depth in
That was
in the characters. With so
in the
much
characters with so much
Yeah.
depth. Yeah,
depth.
yeah.
We did the Sam Cooke story in 2010. Yeah, in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
At the music. So what was it like?
Yes, we were on a big stage.
Being a stage runner on the big stage, working with the union workers as opposed to community did.
Well, the biggest difference, why I say that was one of my favorites, is
With the
with the Sam Cooke story, we were working with the actor Michael White, a really true professional that everybody knew him as Eddie King Jr. from New Jack City, from the Five Heartbeats. And to watch him go from to stay in character and the things that he did was excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
learning
so much about Sam Cooke.
Because he was definitely a powerhouse, and it was just so sad
that his
song,
biggest
Sam Cooke
song,
never heard it.
Sam Cooke never heard it.
He died before
His song came out, A Change Gonna Come.
And to watch the actors
become the character, and we
told the story. People enjoyed it.
People enjoyed it.
What was the backstage like? Should help. What was the backstage like?
Okay.
Because there's a huge cast, a cast of about 50 people seeing
Very
like.
large.
What was it like?
Backstage was it was really it could have been a nightmare, but we handled it because everyone knew what they were supposed to do. They understood that when it's showtime, let's do the show. Don't mess around, because we're representing you as the playwright and Johnny Washington as the person that was spearheading it. So everybody was being professional, and they knew that this could be a stepping stone to something greater because they were being seen by a bigger audience and there was more people paying attention. And a lot of the actors were like, wow, I didn't know that about Sam. I didn't know that about his music. I didn't know that about his life. And it was just amazing. It really was amazing. But we kept it together. Um, we had some great people. We had the group at that time known as Sirius that were playing one of the big gospel groups. And what was funny is they were used to doing songs with routines. And I had to continue to talk to them and tell them that the gospel groups of that time did not really have choreography. So you had to stand still and sing. Sirius was usually doing the Temptations and this and that. And to get them to stand still and sing was really a task. And they said, well, can we? No, you cannot move. You can hit your hand on the palm of your hand, you can do that. But think about the period that you're representing. Nobody was spinning, nobody was jumping around. They stood there at the microphone. And most of the time in the small churches, when the old quartet groups were singing, sometimes they only had one mic and you had to project to a big church. And a lot of times it was hot and there was no air conditioning. So you performed without all of the other trappings of the entertainment industry. And that was awesome to watch them have to slow down what they were doing and not have a routine and just present the song, tell the story of the song. And afterwards, they told me that they had a great time just singing.
Mm-hmm.
But the cues when the people had to be on time to come on stage to make sure that they were mic'd, that they were dressed, that they knew their spot where they were supposed to go, and what was the cue for them to go on stage. The motivation of the character, those were a lot of things that you had to work with the artist, the actor, to understand what motivated these people to do what they did, and which would be taking them back to a time in our history when a lot of Black people did not have a lot of riches, but they made do with what they had and they were happy. And that's the period of time that Sam Cooke was popular, when the things that he had were not the largest of royalty, but he made do with what he had. And he told a good story all the time in his music, and that sometimes he was definitely misunderstood. And I don't think the modern day audience understood what went on when he got killed, because there were a lot of things about, there was a conspiracy to get rid of him, that he was becoming too large because he wanted to own his music. And that was not something that the white producers, record people understood, that he wanted to own what he wrote. And he wanted to do
He
the
did own
music
it.
the way he wanted to do it. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He did own his
Yeah.
music, and he had a recording company as well. And I think
Mm-hmm.
right before he died, he found out that his manager had him listed as an employee and not owner of his
Right.
company, and he was going to
Mm-hmm.
fire that manager that Monday, and he ended up dying that Saturday, I think, Friday, Saturday, whatever that night was. He died the weekend
Mm-hmm.
before he was going to fire the manager who had him on paper as an employee, as opposed to co-owner,
As an
owner
owner. Mm-hmm.
of his own works.
But
Right.
one.
Getting back to stage,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. You were about to say.
To make sure that everyone hit their marks, came on stage when they were supposed to, that the right props were available to make sure that, if you were to walk out with the suitcase, that you didn't have to look
Mhm.
for it, that when it was time for you to hit the stage, it was there. All the props were there. That the music, because you made sure that the music and that it flowed correctly, that we were proud of what we did. And I was so proud to work with
Mhm.
those actors that were so professional. And for Hassan Watkins to play Sam Cooke, he really didn't need a lot of direction. Sometimes what I had to do was encouragement, that you are doing him justice because you sound like him, you look like him. Sometimes you have to give those positive strokes as, working backstage to make sure that they knew you're doing good and I'm proud of you. So you go out there and
Mhm.
make them proud of you because I know what you can do. And those positive strokes were so important.
Mhm. You are watching
Yeah, they
Curtain
was.
Call on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world. Streaming to you live at 5 on YouTube, coming to you every Monday. So give us a comment. Let us know what you think about it. Tell your family, tell your friends. You're watching Curtain Call, all about theater. Because if you know people who are doing theater and they need some exposure, you know people who want to get into theater, tell them about Curtain Call because we can tell us about them so that we can get them on our show as well. Again, you're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest TV station in the world. Okay, G. Now, as the stage manager, you also responsible for the people who do makeup, the costume person. Uh, I mean, it's your show. You're running the show back there. So, what was it like working with those different people doing the different shows? I got the Sam Cooke piece was a period piece, so the costuming had to be uh,
Yes.
from that period. Those periods has a extended amount of time that we covered over the Sam Cooke place. So tell us what you about that
Hmm.
experience working with costume and
Okay.
makeup and
One of the young ladies that um, instrumental in getting the costuming right for the period, we sat down and talked about what the were during the 40s and the 50s. And those women were very classy. They wore very classy outfits in the 50s and 60s, and the women wore gloves, and that was Okila. She did the fashions, and Rochelle Robinson did the makeup.
okay.
There were a lot of the faces at the time in those periods. There were a lot of red lipsticks and dark eyebrows and it over exaggerated cheekbones. So you had to go and study and look at the period to make sure they understood who and what we were representing, and that the characters that were being represented, although they weren't rich, they were proud African Americans. They were proud Black folks. So you made them look like proud Black folks on stage. And that was a lot of
Mhm.
fun to make sure that, like I said, the red lips were kind of overstated because that was the lipstick that Black women could get, was a dark red lipstick. And uh, to
Mhm.
be aware of the period and what that represented. So we met, and everybody understood that this was a period piece, and that when the characters came out, well, everyone had to know that they were representing the best of the 50s and the early
Mhm.
60s. So that was something that I'm proud to have worked with the people that understood the assignment.
Mhm. And you did a great job of it with working with both Okila and Michelle and the musical director, who was this happened to be my son, Khalid Douglas, um,
Oh,
who
he's just
became
a
my
joy
musical
to
director.
work with. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he became my musical director after Chris was no longer my musical
Hmm.
director. Um, so you had to work with the band, you had to work with the
Hmm.
musicians, you had to work with the producer,
Yes, and I had to
and
work with Robert Douglas. Yes,
yeah,
to understand
um,
what the vision was. Yes, with all of your plays,
mhm,
I think it's important to understand you as the writer and you as the
mhm,
director, what the vision is. And then,
mhm,
like I said earlier, then I would become an extension of you. And
mhm,
one of the big things was we did have the respect of the actors. Never had an
mhm,
attitude problem, never had a disposition problem, because they knew that I represented you and you were about business, and so was I. So
mhm,
we that mutual respect to be able to produce a good project that the community would enjoy, you know,
mhm.
made it a joy to be the stage manager, to make sure like everything worked in a timely manner, that
Mhm.
if there were mistakes, we made sure that the audience didn't know there was a mistake,
Right.
because we just worked it in there like, oh, that was supposed to happen. Sometimes
Mhm,
we want to pull your hair out if somebody missed the mark, but they were professional enough to continue on to make sure
mhm,
that it looked like, oh, I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to stumble. I was supposed to miss a word. I was supposed to laugh. And it turned out fine with all of the projects.
mhm. One of the
Even with the
areas that
one,
go ahead, go ahead,
I would say, even the project that we did with Attorney Jerome, what's it,
Barney,
Bernie.
Barney,
Yeah,
yeah.
people loved it. People loved it
Mm,
because his writing, his poetry was so heartfelt, because it talked about different periods in his life as he was going through being a bachelor and being an attorney, and these were his words. And he gave you his book, and you made it into a play, and it was awesome.
and that's a special that took a special kind of work on your part as well as a stage manager, because we had to create an environment to depict all those different scenes of poetry, and then you had to make it work on the stage. And with some of the actors, you were sharing with me a personal story about one of the actors from that show that everybody knew and loved at the time, that I was particularly hard on without knowing what was actually going on. But stage managers have to have good communication skills. I've been reading about refreshing my knowledge of what the stage manager does, and communications is one of the key requirements of a stage manager. Knowing the building, uh, knowing the crew, besides knowing the director and all of that. Uh,
Mhm.
you shared with me how you worked with one of the actors. Um, Tell us a little bit about that. You don't have to tell us who it was, but tell us about that.
Well, one of the main characters in the play that Attorney Jerome Burney did was a very celebrated artist, singer, and actor and model here in Detroit. And he was having a hard time remembering his lines. And I had known him for years, and I knew the power of the word. I knew what he could do. So I live in Southfield. He lived in Grosse Pointe. I would drive to Grosse Pointe and pick him up, and we would rehearse from his house all the way to the Northwest Activity Center. And I would give him cues on how to remember what it was he was going to say and break it down to, when you say this amount of words, think about what that means before you go to the next part. And come to find out after we did the play that he didn't know he had brain cancer. And it was just starting to show because he could not remember things. But I worked with him enough that he was able to do the play. Now, that took a lot out of me, but it was well worth it because I knew what he was capable of. And it hurt me when I found out what his actual issue was. But I could visualize what the writer, Jerome Barney, I knew what he was trying to convey in his poems because I had known him for years and had watched the metamorphosis of him from one part of his life to the next. So I understood what he wrote in his poems, and to work with the actors to tell them at this point in the writer's life, he was a ladies' man. And at this point in his life, he liked real flashy fly girls. So coaching the actors and actresses on how to represent those characters which reflected those parts of the writer's life. So that means that the stage manager, the assistant to the director, has to live with the project and understand what the project is about. And I loved it.
And that's so critical. And you got to know the show as well as the director. Most of my shows were single set environments. In other words, it was a set, and all the action took place on that set. And the stage manager is responsible for the props and for the set and and making sure everything's in its place when it's supposed to be there. Back, like you said, with bringing on luggage, you had to bring on all that sort of thing. With the Sam Cooke play, it was a multiple set environment, and we had a moving set that we were unable to get in before the day of the production. Um, what was it like having to transition to stage managing and running the show with a set that was as complex as that set was without having an opportunity to rehearse on it?
Well, what I did was told the actors to visualize what we had rehearsed, visualize the scenes. And when you walk out on the stage, you have not rehearsed where the chairs are. You have not rehearsed what's on the table, which door to go in and out, but we've talked about it. So that we talked about, that you visualize in your mind, just work with it. Just work with it. Because if you know that the chair is supposed to be on the right side, because you're standing on the left side, if you go out and the chair is not in the right place, just kind of take it. And as you're doing your monologue, as you're saying your lines, put the chair where it's supposed to be so that you can get up and move to the next point. But don't get stuck. Oh, it's not there. No, there's a way you can work it out. You know what we rehearsed, and you know where you're supposed to be. You know what your marks are. If you have to move the chair, you can do that without being disruptive. And if you don't think you can move it, work it from where it is. But just remember, you still have to
Hmm.
say your lines and be able to get up and move past it. And it worked. It worked because we had. How long did we rehearse, Robert? We did 3, 4 months of
We
rehearsing.
rehearsed. We rehearsed for 3 or 4
Hmm.
months, and it really paid off because we weren't able to get on the stage until that day, and it took all day to move that set in.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and it took. We didn't. Let's put it like this: the audience may not have known this,
Right.
but we did not have a full tech dress rehearsal before we opened that show. Um, I know the audience doesn't know how upset I was about that because I never let anybody but my family know how upset I was about that. But opening was our first full dress tech, and I put it in your hands, and I went
Hmm.
back and got with the light people, and it worked. You did an excellent job. I mean,
We got a
we had not
standing
had a
ovation. We
yeah. Go ahead.
hmm we got a standing ovation, and I was so proud, and I just wanted to go backstage and just sit down and because it was so beautiful and it just worked. Okay, it went a little longer than we thought, but the
Hmm.
audience didn't know that. And I think that's the
Hmm.
mark of a true
It
professional because the audience didn't know if the actors made a mistake. You know, we made it work. We made it work. And I wanted you to be proud of me for representing you. So
mhm.
I wasn't being mean, I
Yeah,
was being strict.
and I just resigned myself to. I put it in your hands because I was kind of upset that we didn't get a chance to do the full tech dress rehearsal, and so I prayed on it, and we prayed on it, and we went out there and did a great show. And you were the best. You made it work, and I know it was a lot. It was a lot because it was a huge cast.
Hmm.
It was music, a set never worked with before that had to be moved and turned and uplifted and dropped and the whole works for that show. Uh, and you ran it. You ran it like a pro. So my question now is, uh, what advice would you give to someone who may be interested in not being on the stage, but doing the role of a stage manager?
My advice would be first of all, go and see some plays, some homegrown plays in some community theater. Go and watch
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention to the cues when the lights go up, when the lights change, how the music transitions from scene to scene, and see if you can tell when the scene is changing. What causes the next scene? Is it the lighting? Is it the sound? You know, is it the last word that the actor has? That what are the dynamics in the play? And then watch a director and pay attention to what they do. And sometimes, if you just have to go and volunteer your time and sit there and watch, because a lot of it is instinct, it's instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have paid attention to what the play is about, to the different idiosyncrasies of the characters and how the characters work in concert with each other and how the scenes flow, then you'll understand if you don't know the correct terms, or if you don't know how the scenes, what the correct terminology, but just watch the cues. Watch and see who does
Okay.
what when, and you can do it.
Mhm. Thank you for that
Because I
advice.
had to
Our
definitely
time is
talk
up.
to you. Oh, it's up
Our time is up for the
already.
day. Thank you for coming
Okay,
on. Up already. Thank you
okay.
again for coming on and joining us on Curtain Call. God bless you. And for the audience
Okay.
out there, again, you're watching Curtain Call on WJZZ Cool TV, coolest TV station in the world. Join us next week when we come to you live. Have a good evening and thank you.